Gather round, children. I'm going to talk about the Aquaman, the man of Aqua, which I guess is Hydro Man from Marvel. Aquaman, created by Mort Weisinger many years ago, recreated lovingly by James Wan and his crew for the 2018 blockbuster Aquaman. Can you believe it? This movie is at about $750 million right now? Aquaman's gonna make $1 billion. Go back in time and tell somebody that Aquaman's gonna make $1 billion. Makes sense now because, my God, visually sumptuous. Aquaman is everything a movie is supposed to be. When you put down your 2 bits or $10 or 20, depending on where you go, you want to escape. Take me somewhere. Show me some shit I ain't never seen before. That's what you want in a movie. I never made movies like that. I was like, I'm going to show you a convenience store, something you saw probably right before you went to the cinema. Talented filmmakers like James Wan take you diving into the ocean to show you a world you ain't never seen before. Same way James Gunn, Marvel, owned outer space, took us to space with Guardians of the Galaxy and claimed outer space as their own. James Wan and DC and Warner Brothers have now claimed the seas for themselves with Aquaman. Before I go any further, what are you doing New Year's Eve? That's tomorrow night. We got 2 Babylon shows. That's right. This review is sponsored by Hollywood Babylon. You see, there's me and Ralph as SpongeBob and Patrick behind me. Hollywood Babylon, man. We have 2 shows on New Year's Eve, December 31st. That's tomorrow. 7:30 show, and then there's a 10 o'clock show, and that takes us all the way to the ball drop and the countdown and all that good stuff. Let's end this wretched year together, man. So if you're anywhere near California right now, Hollywood Improv, the world famous Hollywood Improv tomorrow night, New Year's Babble Eve with me and Ralph Garman. Come out and see it. Tickets at seesmod.com, seesmod.com. Okay. Let me just hit my fucking 40. This shit make your dick hard, cock diesel. That's from a movie. Okay. This Aquaman, that was Tahava, by the way. I'm not a very hard drinker at all. This is essentially tea, just fucking black tea with no milk or sugar in it. So doesn't make anything hard. Okay, Aquaman. Jason Momoa is Aquaman, but a little backstory on Aquaman for those who've come in late. Aquaman, created by Mort Weisinger for DC back in the day, has long been considered a joke, you know, for adults and stuff. Of all the superheroes, people always give him shit. Seinfeld's got some bits, I think, on Aquaman. Maybe I'm wrong. Aquaman was the hero that, you know, they were like, oh, fucking, if we're fighting a shark, we'll let you know, Aquaman. Great character, and, you know, inhabits the oceans, which are, you know, endless font of story possibilities. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, orange shirt, green pants, Aryan hair, you know, really looks like a young Hitler Youth back in the day. You know, it just, the character was part of the Super Friends and the Justice League, of course, but generally, you know, speaking, and also ran to Batman and Superman, by the way. Look at this sweet DC shirt right there, man. Anatomy of a DC fan. Got that from TeePublic. Aquaman is represented with the leg. Look at that leg. So what happens with the character of Aquaman is, we got to give credit where credit's due. Peter David, in his run of Aquaman, and he did the Atlantis Chronicles as well in comic book form back in the maybe late 80s, early 90s, probably early 90s. He's the one that turned Aquaman into a badass. Like, all credit where credit's due. You know, the Justice League cartoon did it as well, but they followed suit what was going on in the comics at the time. Peter David, like, you know, turned Aquaman into a bad boy. Had piranhas eat his hand off, and so he had like a harpoon hand at one point. Hook hand. A lot of people say he had a hook hand, but it's a harpoon hand and stuff. Took his shirt off like look at a bare-chested Aquaman and stuff. It was pretty big changes for the Sea King back in the day. That's what we're seeing up on the screen. All the people that used to make Aquaman jokes and whatnot forgot that for like a good 10-year stretch, that Justice League cartoon was putting an Aquaman up there that was, a badass Atlantean sea king. Not like, the dude who was like, which to be fair, I love. I still do that whenever I'm near a body of water. That's Aquaman. It's talking to the sea life on the Super Friends. So Peter David turns him into this badass character. Then years later, Jason Momoa plays Khal Drogo on Game of Thrones. And somebody has the good sense, I don't know if it was Zack Snyder, who said, let's cast him as Aquaman. There's a version of Aquaman that's like a badass, right? Let's go with this guy. What a great choice, man. This Momoa, he's just made for movies. I met him on a plane. Super nice dude, man. Super fucking tall dude. I met him twice on a plane, actually. Just saw him fairly recently as well. Slept on the same plane with him. Didn't realize. Woke up in the morning, looked over. He said, hey, looked over. It's Jason Momoa. I was like, I slept with Jason Momoa all night long. He made me wet. I didn't even know it. So anyway, wonderful fucking dude. This guy has all the spirit and the oomph to play this version of the character. And of course, he has the physical presence, to say the least. And this is Khal Drogo, you got to remember. Like, ooh, he's hot, that amazing performance. So props to Snyder, I think. Zack Snyder was the one that was like, let's do this. Because, that happened back in, Batman v Superman, and then he was in Justice League. Aquaman been in 2 movies before now. But not like this. Like, they got it right. Third time was the charm. This movie is a charmer. So, right then and there, your Aquaman, your central character, is interesting, easy to look at, fun. He's got an edge to him and stuff. You got to remember, this is a guy who had one of the best moments in Justice League, which I know for a lot of people isn't saying much. But remember, he's sitting there and he starts talking about, like, I'm young. I don't want to die. There's shit I want to do, and blah, blah, blah. And then he turns out he's sitting on the Wonder Woman's lasso of truth. He's a charmer, man. He can pull this shit off. So they made the right choice in casting this guy. But they made the really right choice in going after the director, man. James Wan, holy shit. Fuck, this kid's talented. And I talked to him on the IMDb yacht, the IMDb boat, if you will, for Comic-Con last year, just when they dropped the trailer. And I was like, you're doing the Lord's work, and sucked him off. Not for reals, but like about his work. And I said, dude, you make Orm look like Orm. Ocean Master looks like Ocean Master. Black Manta looks like Black Manta. And I saw at that point, we didn't see the footage yet of Arthur in his full regalia, but there was a Lego sculpture of Arthur wearing the orange shirt. And I was like, word is he wears the orange shirt in this movie. Like, what the fuck happened? How'd you get away with this? And he said, there was no point in changing the designs. He's going, those designs have lasted decades. Classic, wonderful designs. So, bam, like we kept with what it looks like. And it does. Black Manta looks like Black Manta. Many things look like the way they do in the comic books. Or if not exactly, pretty darn close. So, James created a Star Wars. It's like a Star Wars type adventure. It's not like, I'm not saying it's Star Wars good. But boy, oh boy, it creates a universe and brings you right into it and stuff. There's a lot of world building. Warning, spoilers. 2 hours and 20 minutes of Aquaman. That is, James has prepared a seafood buffet. And you're not allowed to leave until it's all done, man. So yeah, just know that going in. There's a lot of fucking Aquaman to unpack. It's all the Aquaman ever. You have the feeling when they were making the movie, like they were like, look, let's throw in everything and the kitchen sink because this is one shot, the only shot where we're going to have to make fucking Aquaman. So we can't leave anything undone. Like they used 2 of his biggest foes in this first movie, both Ocean Master, his half brother Orm, and Black Manta, who in the comics, spoilers, countdown 5, 4. If you don't want to know this, 3, 2, 1. Black Manta kills his son. Arthur Curry's son, Aqua Baby, not Aqua Lad. Mira, like at one, and that drives Mira insane in the comics at one point. There's rich material here, and they chose to kind of do with it what, considering Jason Momoa comes from Game of Thrones, this is a very underwatery Game of Thrones type of movie. It's about houses and lords and kingdoms and tridents that are old and have magic powers and shit like that. Like, all stuff comes straight out the comic books, and all stuff that I'm sure, landlubbers and newbies to Aquaman are like, oh my God, what? Who thought of all this stuff? It all comes from the comic books. Even right down to one point, there's a shot of the octopus playing like in a band. That Aquaman had a little sidekick named Topo, an octopus. And there's even a panel at one point in the comics of him playing a bunch of instruments. Like, there's a lot of love for the source material in this movie. And boy, did they spend all the money. Holy fuck, they spent $1 or $2. Over 200 million, somebody said. 200 million? Fuck, even if it's a hair under 200 million. Let's say it was 150, but it's not. It's 200 million. It's a lot of fucking dough, man, and you see it all up on the screen. Like, you got to imagine you can't shoot motherfuckers underwater talking to each other. We talked about it on Spycast, me and Scott Mosier, during, I think it was Justice League or Batman v Superman. The suck bubble. Where all of a sudden water goes away and people are talking to each other in a fucking suck bubble. They don't do that in this. Motherfuckers just talk underwater. And we all know that can't be done in real life. And we all, people's hair underwater, you can't control it. So every shot underwater in this movie is an effect. So, like they must have green screened their hair or whatever the fuck. So all their hair was replaced. Same way in like Batman v Superman and Justice League, Man, in the Zack Snyder stuff, he would do the capes digitally. He would do Superman's cape digitally. He's fuck wearing a cape, man. It won't behave the way I want it to. We'll do it in post. They did that with everybody's fucking hair underwater. That's expensive. The last time Warner Brothers spent this much on fucking hair in CG was when they took off Henry Cavill's mustache. This costs even more because they had to put hair on everybody underwater and let the hair move and stuff. Hats off to the CG crew on this, the effects crew. Holy shit. What a lot of work. Could you imagine if you're that cat that's like, I went to the Dave school, man, to learn how to do effects and whatnot. And I spent 2 years doing Amber Heard's underwater hair. Like, that's somebody's reality, man. And hats off to them because fuck, that shit looked amazing. Like, it looked like they were underwater. Like, it's crazy. You just get used to it at a certain point, but you forget what goes into it, the technical craftsmanship. Pretty astounding. So they spent a lot of money on this flick. And it shows. It's all up there on the screen. Nobody could ever say, like, fuck, where'd the money go? It's up there. What happens in the movie? Shall we go through it? It opens with like a sweet little prologue that tells the story of how Aquaman was born. It's a fuck story. Yeah, man. It's like lady gets coughed up by the sea. An Atlantis queen, the queen of Atlantis, and a lighthouse keeper and her become friends. And it's like Splash, but dirtier because then they wind up boning. Because people from Atlantis aren't like, we're fucking fish people. Well, some of them are, as we saw in the movie. But, it was a different continent, just like, us, North America or whatever fuck. And then it dropped into the sea. So, they got legs and it could happen. I mean, it couldn't happen. But like the sci-fi of it makes sense that they have a kid together. Because she's an Atlantean, but technically human, right? I mean, somebody tell me I'm wrong. In any event, they have a kid, but she got to get the fuck out of there because Atlantis has come looking for her, and so she's jeopardizing the kid's life. So she tells her boy Volko, who's Willem Dafoe, you look out for him and raise him and shit like that. She goes back to Atlantis. Like Volko raises young Aquaman. You see this done through a series of flashbacks. It's not a linear film, like in terms of like we start when he's a child and we end in the present. They kind of go back and forth. So you pick all this up along the way. Volko was training him to be a man from Atlantis, which was a TV show with Patrick Duffy. And then he goes to Atlantis, apparently, and Atlantis was like, fuck you, half-breed, you muggle. And they bounced him out of Atlantis. So that's why he was all like, fuck Atlantis in those other two movies we saw. In Justice League, Batman v Superman. Like, remember he's talking to Mirror and he's like, fuck Atlantis. That's why. Apparently they didn't like him. And Atlantis didn't like his mom either, the queen. They fucking tossed her in the drink, man, out into the pits, the trench. Where she was presumably eaten or killed or whatever the fuck for the crime of cohabitating with a human being and making a half-breed kid or whatever. But spoilers, she ain't dead. Nicole Kidman lives, ladies and gentlemen, just like Michelle Pfeiffer in Ant-Man. She'd been hiding in the quantum realm, the underwater quantum realm. And she also has a funny mask to be like, oh, it's me, Nicole Kidman. Just like Michelle Pfeiffer was like, oh, it's me, Catwoman. So, our adventure begins with Aquaman helping a sub out, a sub that's being attacked by pirates. These pirates afford the backstory for Black Manta because it's Black Manta and his dad are the pirates. And then his dad gets killed while fighting Aquaman. And so David, his son, is like, I hate Aquaman. And he's already in league with Orm to like scare the Atlantis folks into war with the surface world. Because there's a cool shot of like, look at all this garbage. Atlantis has thrown the fucking garbage back up out of the ocean and now it's on the land and shit. That was cool. Unfortunately, it was just one quick moment. I wish that had been the whole fucking plot. Like a garbage fight with Atlantis. Like, fuck you. Here's your fucking tampons back. Applicators. So Orm is using Black Manta to like scare the tribes, if you will, whatever, of Atlantis, the kingdoms of Atlantis, into joining into a war with the surface world. It's time we take on the surface world. And Orm, once he gets everyone collected, he will become the Ocean Master. And that's the character's name in comics. Ocean Master. He wears this mask that covers his face like this, badass looking. In the movie, when Patrick Wilson as Orm puts it on, it's expressive, so his eyes like move and shit like that. It's dope. They spared no fucking expense on this movie. Boy, did they fucking put the old lolly out. They went into the Davy Jones locker and took every fucking doubloon and put it right up on the screen and shit. So Aquaman, in the background, Black Manta is being born. He says to the Atlantis folks, to Orm, he's like, get me a fucking suit, man. And so they give him a prototype suit, which is the Black Manta suit. And for a long time, Black Manta fan like myself, my work. I put Black Manta and Ocean Master into my Batman runs in DC. In my Green Arrow run in DC, I used Black Manta fighting Aquaman, and that's when Green Arrow shows up and Aquaman see Green Arrow for the first time and whatnot. But it was Black Manta and the Manta Ray ship and shit. But it was the Black Manta of the moment, and he had gone from being a human to being an actual fucking living Manta Ray, thanks to a deal with Neron and Underworld Unleashed. It's a lot of geekery right there. So in any event, I love Black Manta. I've tried to put him in the Superman movie I wrote years ago. It's a great time to be a Black Manta fan, man. You can get cool statues of him and shit like that. James Wan did not change his ridiculous helmet. He wasn't like, let's make him look fucking decent. No, man, he made sense. It's like it's going to armor his head, and it's where it's got like the lasers come out and shit. So he needs more space. Hence, it looks stupid. So Mira comes to, Arthur and says, hey, man, fucking Atlantis is on the brink of war with the surface world. You got to come back. And he's like, fuck Atlantis. They go to Atlantis anyway. In Atlantis, I think he gets arrested. This is all like 1 year after Steppenwolf attacked in the very memorable Justice League. I'm trying to look at my notes and what happened. Orm goes down to, Aquaman goes down to Atlantis, and then he gets fucking arrested by his brother Orm. And, Orm's like, they killed our mother because they share a mother. That's his half brother. Orm and Aquaman are half brothers. They share the mother, Nicole Kidman, Atlanta. So he was like, fuck you. Let's fight in the Ring of Fire. Then they have a fight, but Mira saves him with some fucking, and she does that. She saves Aquaman's dad too, with aquakinesis. I love that shit in the comics. She controls water with her mind, man. She can make it powerful and shit. Make suck bubbles where you can talk in them and breathe and shit. Or she could also just kill you with water. So Mira comes to find, saves him, and then they go to the Sahara, and because Aquaman in the desert, because that's an interesting notion. So they find an old message where some old sea king, king of Atlantis, is like, you got to find the fucking trident. If you got the trident, you got this. So they go off to find the trident. Mira and Aquaman. They go see the trench monsters. This beautiful fucking shot. Movie's gorgeous, kids. Like, if you're into beautiful looking movies, fuck, Aquaman's for you. The trench monsters, they wind up going into a fucking black hole or a warp hole or whatever, wormhole. That takes them to like the land that time forgot. Remember that movie? Where there's dinosaurs in the middle of the earth and shit like that. So that's where, surprise, Nicole Kidman's been hiding out with Michelle Pfeiffer all these years. So, they're like, hey, man, in order to get the trident, you got to go talk to the Leviathan. And the Leviathan is played, no kidding, no shit, I shit you not, by Julie Andrews. She's not in Mary Poppins, but she is in Aquaman. She's the voice of I forget what the big Leviathan's name is. Homeboy gets the trident, but this is after, of course, he faced down Black Manta, like on their search for it and stuff. Aquaman and Mira are in Sicily, and Black Manta shows up in an incredible fucking sequence where he's just trying to kill fucking Aquaman. And you're watching Black Manta fight Aquaman on the big screen, and you're like, what an age of wonder we live in. I'm so glad I lived this long that I got to see a cinematic Black Manta. Now, I know some people are like, how about maybe like you're happy you lived this long to see the cure of disease and some shit? Of course, that goes without saying. But the shit I live for is like shit like this, where it's like, look at Black Manta on a big screen. So, fantastic sequence. If you're a Black Manta fan, even if you're not, brilliant action sequence. Well put together, insanely well. Looked like it costs a lot and took a lot of time to shoot. So, hats off to those folks. Anyway, he gets the trident. They go back down to Atlantis and shit like that. And there's a big old fight. Orm has been collecting all the kingdoms, to try to go up and fight the surface world. King Dolph Lundgren, who is Mira's dad. Mira really believes in Aquaman. You got to do this. You can be something more than a king, a hero and shit. And the whole time I'm like, why not you? Like, you can do this. Like, you can go find the trident too. You know where it is. Like, you don't need this guy. But, we do because the title's Aquaman. But they find the trident and go down and fight. Have the most metal fucking fight. Like, at one point, Orm is taking on the king of the crustaceans. So there's this underwater war with people riding fucking sharks and giant seahorses. Aquaman on a giant seahorse and shit. Looks like the side of a van in the 70s, man. It's like a fucking 70s album cover. Just beautiful underwater war. And then Aquaman shows up with the trident and shit. And he comes with the Leviathan. People are like, oh, who is this fucking man? I guess it's a bit like Avatar when he showed up with the giant bird and shit. And like, oh, he's got the fucking giant bird by the nuts. Let's follow this son of a bitch. So then King Dolph Lundgren is like, you know what? Truly, he is the son of God or whatever the fuck. And he finally decides to join up with Aquaman and fuck off to Orm. Aquaman fights Orm with tridents and shit. And he's got the drop on him because it's the third act of the movie. And he's the hero. And he's going to kill him. But, oh, no, he won't kill him and shit. And Orm is all like sad and happy because he found out his mom's alive. Aquaman's like, our mother's alive, and I saved her from the trench. She saved herself, but I brought her back from the trench. You didn't even fucking think to look for her, jerk off. Think about that in your watery prison and shit. So they don't kill him, which is something I like. And they also didn't kill Black Manta, man. He lived to fight another day. The bad guys don't get killed in this movie unless they're nameless, faceless fucking like soldiers. It's a good flick. There's a lot there to digest, man. But I ain't complaining. I'm not sitting there going like, here's what I would have done different. If I would have done anything different, but look, my version of Aquaman would cost about $10 million and it wouldn't look that good. So I don't listen to anything I say, but it was a little chunky in the time department, like fucking 2 hours and 20 minutes. I got a life. So it's definitely worth seeing. What a great holiday movie too, man. Like there's that sequence alone, which you've all seen the trailer, where the little boy Aquaman is at the aquarium and all the sea life stops and bends a fucking knee that they don't have because they're all fish. At the king of the seven seas. That shit's dope, man. It's honestly, is a better Aquaman movie than I ever imagined we were ever going to get in this lifetime. And, they deserve all the praise in the world. It's a fucking step in the absolute right direction for these DC comic book movies. Quite like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are two steps in the absolute right direction. These is what these movies should be, fun and imaginative and stuff. So maybe a little shorter. That's just me. But you know what? Maybe people are like, hey, man, I'm paying $10 to see this shit. Give me all the fucking movie. They do in Aquaman. They give you all the movie. It's like they give you 2 Aquaman movies in one, seriously. So there it is, man. Aquaman, I don't do stars. I do starfish. I don't do that kind of shit. I don't like to, that ain't thumbs up, thumbs down, or fucking 4 stars. I'm just telling you what I thought. And what I thought was I enjoyed it. I saw it like 2 weeks ago. And there was an embargo where I couldn't say anything. And then my mom got sick, so I was just, and then Christmas and stuff. But this is the first moment I had to think about it and whatnot. And I knew we'd be talking about it on Babylon tomorrow night at both shows. That's right, Hollywood Babylon. Come bring in the new year. Hollywood Babel New Year's Rockin' Eve. New Year's Babel Eve, I believe we call it. 7:30 show, 10 o'clock show. Tickets at seesmod.com, seesmod.com. Show out here in Hollywood, of course, at the Hollywood Improv. World famous Hollywood Improv on Melrose. So I knew I was going to be talking about it, so I figured, oh shit, maybe I better talk about it now at great lengths, because on the show I'll probably just sit there and be like, yeah, it was fun, Ralph, and then move the fuck on. So, clearly I didn't deep dive on this as long as I did on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Mark, but that movie, that's extraordinary. A piece of animation. Aquaman, wonderful movie. This is what movies are supposed to be, man. Take you to a place. Take me somewhere, man. Take me underwater. Watery movies have captured my imagination forever. Jaws is one of the first movies I remember seeing. Saw the Gumball Rally first, then Jaws in a drive-in, 1975. And we grew up in a beach town, so I could have been at the ocean every day of my life with a rockin' bod maybe, like Jason Momoa. But oh no, I saw Jaws and fucking Steven Spielberg ruined the ocean for me. He probably saved my life, honestly, because what the fuck, I got no business going in there. You go in the ocean, you're going to get eaten. Like it's entering the food chain at the wrong side. So Steven Spielberg probably saved my life. But yeah, I love watery movies, man. Movies going underwater and shit like that. I love any movie got a shark in it. You weaponize a fucking shark and throw it at an enemy. Fuck it, take all my money. So I love what they did with Aquaman. Hats off to James Wan. I look forward to the next one. I mean, no filmmaker wants to hear that. It took forever to make this movie, man. And I'm like, what's next, man? When are you doing another one? But they're off and running. So I look forward to the next one. There it is, man. Aquaman. Go check it out. It's in theaters right now. I got no skin in the game. I'm just talking as a fan and stuff. Every once in a while, people are like, you on the DC payroll? My daughter's on the DC payroll. She works for DC Daily over a DC Universe app. So if you see her over there crowing about shit for DC, chances are you're right when you say, well, you fucking paid by them? Because she is paid by them. But I'm not. This is just me talking because I saw the movie and I liked it. So, it's good time. But it's a lot of time. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Fuck. Give it a look-see. There it is, man. Thanks for hanging out. Aquaman. Worth seeing. Happy New Year, everybody. One more day of this wretched fucking 2018. The year I nearly died. How I like to think of it, though, is the year I lived. So Happy New Year if I don't speak to you before then. And if you want me to say that in person, plug one more time. Hollywood Improv tomorrow night, New Year's Eve, 2 shows, 7:30, 10 o'clock. Hollywood Babylon with me and funny man Ralph Garman. Come see us. Tickets at seesmod.com, seesmod.com. Thanks for hanging out, man. DC on the right track. Next up, Captain Marvel. Then, Endgame. Then, 20 more years of Marvel movies. Ugh.